What mechanics say versus what they really mean. You have an evap leak.
What they really mean is your evaporative system is leaking gas fumes from the system.
You have a bad PCV valve.
What they really mean, or PCV stands for positive crankcase ventilation. Inside your motor, it builds up pressure. It has to ventilate out some way.
You have a bad O2 sensor.
What they really mean is the oxygen sensor that is in the exhaust that reads how much unburned fuel is in the exhaust coming out of the engine. That's what that sensor does.
Do you think people should have dash cams in their cars?
Absolutely, they should.
Do you think people should have dash cams in their cars?
No.
Do you think people should have dash cams in their cars?
Absolutely. Front and rear. It's good for wrecks, things that happen. Also, you can create awesome TikTok videos.
Do you think people should have dash cams in their cars?
Oh, absolutely.
Keith, do you think people should have dash cams in their car?
Always, always.
Hey Rick, what's the most expensive car you've ever worked on?
Lamborghini.
Hey Thomas, what's the most expensive car you've ever worked on?
1989 Corvette Stingray.
Hey Keith, what's the most expensive car you've ever worked on?
BMW i9.
Hey Sam, what's the most expensive car you've ever worked on?
Mercedes.
This is a Fiat.
A Fiat 500.
That's a Fiat.
All right, that looks like a Fiat.
Oh shoot. A Porsche, I don't know.
Ooh, that one is a, man, is that a Jaguar?
An Audi R8.
That there looks like an Audi, probably an R8.
And a Charger.
I don't know, that's a Camry maybe?
It's kind of like a Honda Civic.
That's a Honda Accord.
A Ram 1500.
It's a Dodge pickup.
That's a Dodge Ram 1500.
This is a Dodge like 1500.
What's the most overrated new car feature?
Autonomous driving. It makes me nervous. Been in a car when you're coming up to a stoplight, your foot's like hovering right over that brake.
Keith, what's the most overrated new car feature?
TPMS sensors.
What is the most overrated new car feature?
Android Auto.
What's the most overrated new car feature?
Folding gear shift in the F-150s.
Hey Steve, what's your biggest pet peeve on the road?
18-wheelers in the left lane.
Hey Charles, what's your biggest pet peeve on the road?
Slow drivers in the left lane.
What's your biggest pet peeve on the road?
Tailgating.
Hey Bailey, what's your biggest pet peeve on the road?
Traffic. I'm pretty sure that's probably everybody's.
Rick, what's your biggest pet peeve on the road?
People driving too slow.
Hey Thomas, what's your biggest pet peeve on the road?
People who don't use their blinkers.
Dad tips with Dwayne. Here are the first 3 things you should do if you get into a wreck or an accident. First is make sure everybody's okay. Call the police. Second thing, start taking pictures of not only the vehicles, but also the intersections where it happened so that you can have surroundings evidence. And the third thing you should do is call your insurance, let them know if the other person's at fault, get their information, of course, and then call their insurance, but call your insurance first.
What's the best miles per gallon you've ever gotten in a car?
30-ish.
What's the best miles per gallon you've ever gotten in a car?
24 in a Ford Fusion EcoBoost.
Bailey, what's the best miles per gallon you've ever gotten in a car?
65 one time.
Welcome back to Dad Tips with Dwayne. Here are 3 signs that your car battery may be failing. If you get in your car, your clock is reset. And the other is a lot of cars have a lot of electronics these days, so you might see a check engine light or other lights pop up on your dash, including a battery light. And then the third thing is watch your gauge. I always keep an eye on all my gauges. If you see your gauge that shows your battery or charging down below the middle, that's an indication you might be having an issue.
Hey Charlene, what's the best color on a car?
Black.
Hey Dwayne, what's the best color on a car?
That new gunmetal gray is amazing.
Hey Charles, what's the best color on a car?
Like a dark blue car.
Hey Rick, what's the best color on a car?
Black. Hey guys, if you're ever locked in a trunk, there's usually a little yellow tab in the back, and guess what? It glows in the dark.
Seth, what are the 3 things you always keep in your car?
My gun, some cologne, and gum.
Keith, what are 3 things you always keep in your car?
Spare, jack, and a pistol.
Dwayne, what are the 3 things you always keep in your car?
Battery jumper, straps for in the back of my vehicle, and I keep a tire pressure gauge.
What are 3 things that you always keep in your car?
Chapstick, gum, and water.
What are the 3 things that you always keep in your car?
Vacuum, baby wipes, and Amazon returns.
Do airbags hurt?
Yes, they do, man. Back in the day, I had a 911 Porsche blow up in my hand, and yes, they will. They'll break your nose, give you black eyes, and all that stuff.
Bailey, do airbags hurt?
Oh, for sure. I had a friend that broke his arm from an airbag going off.
Keith, do airbags hurt?
I'm gonna assume so. The one time I was hit, I got knocked out.
Charlene, do airbags hurt?
Yes.
Katie, do airbags hurt?
Yeah, especially when they knock you out and it takes you a minute to realize what happened.
How many accidents before someone should get their license revoked?
Probably about 4. After that, it should be done.
How many crashes can someone get into before they should have their license revoked?
4.
Seth, how many accidents before someone should get their license revoked?
2 in the same month.
I want you to tell me how many crashes someone can get in before they should have their license revoked.
2.
Charlene, how many accidents before someone should have their license revoked?
Who's at fault?
Bailey, how many accidents before someone should have their license revoked?
I would say it doesn't matter because you could not be at fault, and so you can have as many accidents as you want, I guess, if you're driving.
Here's the number 1 or 2 things that cause your battery to go bad or kills your battery. 1 is extreme heat or extreme cold. Here in Texas, you don't want to have a battery that is not serviceable. A lot of batteries come non-serviceable these days, but you want to be able to pop those caps off of that battery and check the level of water or acid that's in the battery and refill it up. But that's probably the biggest cause is heat or extreme colds. They just absolutely just wear those batteries down.
Is it okay to text at a red light?
I do.
Is it okay to text at a red light?
Yeah, for sure.
Is it okay to text at a red light?
It's not okay to text in general.
Is it okay to text at a red light?
I mean, I guess technically it is, but how many times do you honk your horn because some dummy's not paying attention?
Is it okay to text at a red light?
Legally, no.
Is it okay to text at a red light?
If you know the light's long.
Is it okay to text at a red light?
Oh yeah, dude, I play video games and everything.
Is it okay to text at a red light?
No.
What's the best way to prevent your car from getting stolen?
Leave the window down, put the keys in there. They'll think you're a cop or something trying to get them.
What's the best way to prevent your car from getting stolen?
Get a car alarm. Some people, if you remember those clubs that used to go across the steering wheel, those are good to have, but I'd say car alarms.
Hey Abby, what's the best way to prevent your car from getting stolen?
An alarm system.
Hey Bailey, what's the best way to prevent your car from getting stolen?
A lock only stops an honest thief, but I'd probably put a tracker or get a steering wheel lock.
Hey Dwayne, what's a big misconception in the automotive industry?
I would say if you come across a cheap oil change, all they're trying to do is get you in there. Anybody that gives you a cheap oil change just wants you to get into their shop so they can recommend other stuff that they actually make money on.
What mechanics say versus what they really mean. You have an evap leak.
What they really mean is your evaporative system is leaking gas fumes from the system.
You have a bad PCV valve.
What they really mean, or PCV stands for positive crankcase ventilation. Inside your motor, it builds up pressure. It has to ventilate out some way.
You have a bad O2 sensor.
What they really mean is the oxygen sensor that is in the exhaust that reads how much unburned fuel is in the exhaust coming out of the engine. That's what that sensor does.
Dwayne, what's the most common car parts that people steal?
Oh, that's catalytic converters for sure. It used to be wheels back in the 90s or the 80s, you know, for us older people, but catalytic converters are on the rise for being stolen, and that's because they have precious metals inside of them, and, you know, they're worth some money. The right one's correct. Ooh, the right one's correct. Left one's correct, and the left one's correct. How and when does your car get totaled if it's in an accident? The insurance company, what they do is if the initial estimate of your vehicle reaches 55% of the value of the vehicle, they're gonna total loss the claim. The reason they do this is because it is very common when they give the initial estimate, then it gets into the body shop tears it apart, finds more, and that estimate could easily turn from under 50% or 55% up to 80% pretty easily.
The number one reason you should be getting a buyer's inspection for any vehicle that you're going to be purchasing is that it's going to save you potentially a lot of money in the long run. A bunch of these smaller dealers that you'll see on the side of I-35 or whatever, they usually aren't selling you the best maintained vehicles. Someone has traded them or sold them to them, and they just weren't taking very well good care of, and they could be, you know, just trying to get rid of it. So if you do take it in, your tech, whoever's looking at it will be able to spot potential causes. If the car was wrecked, if there's frame damage, anything of that sort, they will let you know, and that'll save you a lot of money itself.
All right, Bailey, I want you to give me your most controversial car opinion.
Big trucks compensate for something.
Hey, Abby, what's your most controversial car opinion?
Jeep Wranglers are overhyped.
Hey, Dwayne, tell me your most controversial car opinion.
Do not buy a Dodge 5.7 Hemi. They are junk.
Yo, Seth, tell me your most controversial car opinion.
All Subaru guys vape.
Yo, Seth, what's the easiest car to work on?
Anything Honda or Toyota.
Rick, what's the easiest car to work on?
Probably Kia, Hyundai. They're just simple, not much to them.
Bailey, what's the easiest car to work on?
Probably any car that has like an inline motor, especially like an inline Cummins. Those are really nice to work on.
Charles, tell me how much a parent should spend on their kid's first car.
As little as possible.
Bailey, tell me how much money a parent should spend on their kid's first car.
It depends on your budget, but I wouldn't spend more than probably like $3 to $5 grand on a car.
Abby, tell me how much a parent should spend on their kid's first car.
Probably enough to buy it cash on the safe side.
Hey, Dwayne, how much money should a parent spend on their kid's first car?
No more than $5,000, 2 to 3 preferably.
Hey, Abby, what's a common scam for women to look out for in an auto shop?
I would say the potential of being overcharged, lack of knowledge has a factor in that, so education is key.
Another little dad tip from Dwayne. I want to show you how to read a tire when someone asks you what size of tire do you have. If you come here and look, 225 is the width of the tire. The 60 is saying it's 60% as tall as it is wide, and the 17 is the size of the rim. The 98H means the speed rating of that tire. That's a little more complicated, and I don't have time to explain that. If you're ever looking for the size of your tire, this is what you want to look for. It's all on the sides of every tire. Hey guys, dad tips with Dwayne, especially for you new drivers or your teenagers, how to find your spare and your jack. Generally, it's going to be in the back of the vehicle. There's going to be a compartment either here or on the side where your jack is kept. This one, it is right here. Here's your jack, here's your tools. Now your spare tire is either going to be underneath a compartment here as well, and sometimes, like on this vehicle, it is kept underneath the vehicle. So this vehicle, you have your tire iron, and it has a little hole right here for you to stick that in, and you just turn it left to lower it, or turn it right to go up on it. Now also on some vehicles, there's going to be a hole in the bumper that you will stick a tool in and lower it or raise it that way as well.
Hey Steve, Bentley or Rolls-Royce?
Bentley.
Hey Thomas, Bentley or Rolls-Royce?
Bentley.
Hey Rick, Bentley or Rolls-Royce?
Bentley.
Hey Charles, Bentley or Rolls-Royce?
Let's just go with the classic Rolls.
Hey Dwayne, Bentley or Rolls-Royce?
Bentley.
All right, Seth, if you were selling hot dogs at a stadium, what would be your yell?
Wiener in a bun! Wiener in a bun over here. Get your wiener in a bun.
All right, Bailey, if you were selling hot dogs in the stadium, what would you yell?
Fresh hot Franks, you know. Crispy wieners.
All right, Dwayne, if you were selling hot dogs in the stadium, what would be your yell?
Hot dogs! Fresh hot dogs! Woo!
I'm not buying a hot dog from that dude again.
All right, Rick, you're selling hot dogs in the stadium, what would be your yell?
Come on, get your hot dogs. Fresh hot dogs. Come and get them.
If you were selling hot dogs at a stadium, what would be your yell?
Hot dogs. Get your hot dogs here.
5 things your teenager or new driver probably should know about their vehicle before they really get out and start driving. 1 is where the spare tire is and the jack, and more than likely how to use it. 2 is how to open the hood. Most people don't know how to open the hood. How to check tire pressures. Checking tire pressure is very easy, but most people don't know how to do it. How to use the parking brake, how to engage it, and especially how do you release it. Last one is how to read your gauges on your instrument cluster, you know, knowing what is what and how to read them.
Hey Charles, what's the first car you ever owned?
1969 Chevy C10 pickup.
Hey Katie, what was the first car you ever owned?
2002 Toyota Camry.
Bailey, what was the first car you ever owned?
2005 Dodge Ram 3500. I still drive it today.
Hey Charlene, what was the first car you ever owned?
Chevy Nova.
Hey Carrie, what was the first car you ever owned?
A red 2-door Lamans.
Here's a few things that your teenager or new driver needs to keep in their car. One is tire pressure gauge. Two is maybe a tire inflator, one that you plug into a cigarette light. A phone charger 100% needs to be in that car. Maybe even a card or information on a towing company that they can use if they need to instead of trying to figure that out in an emergency. Another thing is a small set of tools, including a flashlight, and lastly, a set of jumper cables, and good quality jumper cables, not the cheap ones.
Hey Charles, what's the most dangerous car in your opinion?
A Jeep.
Hey Thomas, what's the most dangerous car in your opinion?
I'd say it's 1970s Pintos with the exploding gas tanks.
Hey Bailey, what's the most dangerous car in your opinion?
I'd go with a Ford Mustang, the crowd killer.
Hey Rick, what's the most dangerous car in your opinion?
Probably a Mazda Miata.
Hey Keith, what's the most dangerous car in your opinion?
Tesla. They're super heavy, too heavy to be a car.
Hey Carrie, Aston Martin or Porsche?
Porsche.
Hey Charlene, Aston Martin or Porsche?
Porsche.
All right Charles, Aston Martin or Porsche?
Aston Martin.
Hey Keith, Aston Martin or Porsche?
Porsche. Easy.
One quick thing that you can do for your air conditioning system, real easy, real simple thing, is replacing your cabin air filter. Your cabin air filter sits right above your blower motor. When that cabin air filter gets dirty and clogged up, the blower motor struggles to pull air through there, which burns up your blower motor. It can cost a lot of money to repair that kind of stuff when you have a simple $40 filter that you can replace. So give us a call here at Genuine Automotive and Diesel. We'll be glad to help you out with that. Margot, hold the light still. Hold it still.
Hey Dwayne, what's the most expensive mistake you can make to your car?
Not maintaining it properly. You got to maintain your vehicle. It will last a lot longer if you maintain it well.